I gotta get rid of Gary. He's not here. He's ice fishing. The son of a bitch sent me a picture of him with a fucking fish in his hand.
All right, we're live.
Are we?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I don't see nothing. You sure?
It's always delayed.
But is it delayed enough?
13 people
there
are
it is.
apparently watching now. There we go.
Holy shit, we're actually live. Welcome to the CanadaGuns Talk Show, episode 93. Well, this fucking sucks.
I believe it's called
host.
"Well, fuck this shit."
Yeah, fuck this shit. Yeah, who cares? It's any way you want to look at it. This fucking sucks. I'm your host, the Crover. Alcohol, guns, Adriel, go hi.
Hi.
Crazy, go hi.
Hi.
There, we have an introduction.
I don't have any pot. I can't get high.
Oh, fuck, you're right. Go get some. Wait, you can't because you're in Ontario.
Oh, we got stores open. Oh.
Yeah, how many?
Listen to this guy
like
bragging.
25 of them.
Oh, 5?
25. 25.
25. I can probably walk to 5 from where I live. It's a fucking.
You can probably walk to 5 liquor stores too, you fucking bastard. But we got the fucking Liquor Control Board of Ontario.
Yeah, you're also fucked for booze. Yeah. No, I got Olympia Liquor. I got Co-op Wine and Spirits.
At least they're finally selling beer at the fucking grocery store. It only took them, how long was Prohibition? Like fucking the 20s?
Well, we don't have beer in grocery stores, but there is a liquor store next to the grocery store.
Oh no, they're letting beer and wine in grocery stores.
But not whiskey.
Not whiskey, no. God forbid you could be like in Michigan and go buy your whiskey in the back aisle. Fuck that, no.
Your devil's juice, you got to go to the hard place for that.
Yep, and you can't buy a pack larger than 6 unless you go to the beer store.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you guys got some weird laws.
Oh my god.
Anywho,
everyone's like
that's a gun
complaining
show,
about
right?
Doug Ford. He's gonna fucking get rid of that agreement for the beer
Fuck
store,
a
and
beer.
I'm like, I don't care.
Fuck a beer.
Literally, I don't care if we got to pay a penalty for this contract. It's bullshit. It should have never existed in the first. Never mind. This isn't guns.
Yeah, who cares? Crazy. Have you done anything with guns?
Oh, have I done anything with guns? I'd make a James Bond reference, but I think I'd have to say it in Spanish because this isn't actually a PPK, despite what it looks like. This is a Bursa Thunder 380.
Just pull your mic down just a little bit.
I guess I should say what Miamo Bond, James Bond.
Miamo Bond,
Hey,
James
that's
Bond.
not bad. It's Jaime Bond. Jaime Bond.
Hi, I'm a Bond.
No, Jaime Bond. Like instead of James, because fuck it.
Yeah.
Go.
Miamo Bond. Jaime Bond.
Me llamo Jaime Bond.
But yeah, this I bought this because it looks like a PPK. Like seriously, the second I saw this on Tactical Imports Facebook page, I was like, I kind of want that. And this was $450.
Oh.
So when you consider the fact that Bubba fucked PPKs that used to be 32 that have now been converted to 380, and when they do that, it breaks the slide lock on them, and they lose a round in the magazine. I think they're only like a 6-round fucking mag at that point. Those guns sell for anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 fucking dollars on CGN. Yeah. And North Silva refuses to contact Walther USA and have any of them imported with Canada legal barrels in proper brand new 380 ACP manufacture. So they say no one will buy it because of the stupid barrel and it looks dumb and fuck that. Well, guess what? Tactical Imports brings in Argentinian knockoffs that are actually better than the PPK because they have an external slide lock. In case you didn't know, the PPK does not actually have an external slide lock and slide release. It is all internal. So these are actually better
antiquated.
Than the PPK. Slightly larger as well. The PPK, I think, has a 3-inch barrel, and this is normally 3.5 in America. Obviously, 4 1/4 here. And it costs a fraction of what the PPK does. Like even in America, PPKs are like $600-700, and this gun in America is like $250. So $450 here for this, and they sold it in black and they sold it in silver.
Or
satin.
Silver would be kind of neat.
I want one. Okay, Adriel, I'm going to interrupt you right here, Crazy. I'm going to interrupt you.
Same price.
Oh, why'd you get the silver one?
Adriel, Can help me convince him to get that barrel threaded so he could put a fake can on it.
No.
But then it won't be like a Bond gun. Well, it could be. Yeah.
No, it's exactly like a Bond
Yeah.
gun at that point.
I'm not sure how much meat's on this to get threaded, but they do make threaded barrel models, and people were asking Tactical Imports, why didn't you just bring it in with a threaded barrel when it's basically this long anyways for the threaded barrel model? But who knows, they might bring in the threaded barrel model, but they still have the satin finish ones in stock. They're all out of the black ones. The black ones sold out. They
Hey,
still the
Adrian,
satin.
you buying a gun right now?
They're
I'm
still...
gonna take a look.
They're both the same price. They're both $450. Magazines were fairly expensive. Like it was an extra 100 and some shit for the four extra mags that I got with it because they're 8-round mags. So you've got a higher mag capacity than the PPK.
Oh, you know what? This satin finish has a black barrel. Nope. I'm out.
That's kind of why I looked at the satin finish and I'm like, eh. And in the States they make two-tone models as well, and I was kind of like, eh. But no, I wanted the.
It's so
Link
good,
me that
except
shit. I
for
want to
that
see that.
black barrel.
So some of the things with this, the mag release is like up here, which makes sense because normally it would be like down here somewhere, but with where you grip this, like your thumb is like right there. You'd be releasing the mag all the time, so it's up there. You'll see here it's got a fucking safety built in, or the lock built into it. The Hillary hole.
Hillary hole?
Yeah, it's got a Hillary hole, which obviously is going to stay on fire and never get used because these things are stupid.
Do they even qualify as
No.
in
Okay,
Canada?
No.
I asked the Ontario CFO about this one time, and they said it would be up to the officer on scene,
So no.
which basically means no, or it basically means, do you want to be the one to go to court to find out yes or no?
No.
So yeah, it's got a decocking safety, much like a PPK. So you can see it actually does go into safe when it's fully decocked, and then it is double action and single action. The only bad thing is it has a magazine cutoff safety, which I will eventually be taking out of this thing because magazine safeties are stupid.
Yep.
And
Can't
if
be
you
that
disagree
hard.
with that, you are also stupid.
Yay, flame war.
I don't think there's anything to flame about. They're pretty much universally considered dumb, and anyone who supports them is also fairly
Well,
universally
Adriel got
considered
into
dumb.
shit for fucking around with his GSG, so
Yeah,
somebody's
well,
gonna
those
give him
people
grief.
are dumb.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm gonna get people arguing with me on YouTube no matter what.
That's true.
It's got a nice beaver
Hey.
tail back here to stop you from getting your fucking wrist all up in the fucking shit and getting it shredded. And the sights are a nice set of 3 white dots, so fairly visible. I know some people don't like that, but considering basically you kind of need it because the front sight's way, way bigger than the rear ones. So you basically need to go and do the whole line the dots thing up.
So, Adriel,
taking-
how would you fix that?
Black out the rear dots. Just use a
Oh.
Sharpie on it, and then have the 1 dot on the front. I mean, like that's if you want tactical, though. The whole idea with 3 dots is that you can see it in the night, and you just kind of like put some dots together,
Yeah,
and
and
just
this
start
is-
whacking away at it, right?
Concealed carry pistol, more or less. The disassembly lever is right up here. I'm not going to bother with that because it's a bit of a pain in the ass with the Canada legal barrel on it. But basically, you lock the thing back, you press that lever down, and then you pull the slide back and up, and then forward. But because of the long dong barrel for Canada, it gets kind of stuck there, and you got to finagle it a bit. And then it is a fixed barrel on this. It's a fixed barrel, straight blowback, so it's going to be a very accurate gun, despite its diminutive size, because of the fact. Something got in my face.
How's the
Because of
trigger
the fact
pull
that
on
it's a
it?
fixed barrel. It's actually fairly good. The double action trigger pull is long, but it's not heavy. Apparently, it's spec'd at 8.5 pounds. And supposedly 3.5 pounds in single. And I actually
that's
have
fine.
not
Yeah.
checked the reset on this yet. But I hear that it's a really good reset on this.
Put
From
it
all
down
the
and do it
reviews,
right now.
hold on.
We'll just commentate. Oh,
Yeah.
that looks pretty long. I
Mm-mm.
can't see what he's doing.
No, I can't see anything either. Do it in front of the camera, idiot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't when I've got to deal with the fucking mag safety on it there. There's the reset point. So,
Could be worse.
pretty decent reset on that. Like, a lot of people have praised this thing for having a surprisingly good trigger, especially given its really cheap price. And I know that the Bursas in 9mm are very well regarded for their triggers as well.
It's okay. Macarbo will make a trigger for it in like 2 months.
Well, they probably already do. I mean, this gun's been for sale in America since at least 2011. And it's been a very popular carry gun for a lot of people because it's so cheap. And it looks like a PPK. And it's cheap. Like $450 Canadian, like 2-something American, 8-round mags. They make a version that's a double stack version with a wide body that fits apparently 15 rounds of 380. That would be
a pocket full of angry bees.
That would be a hilarious fucking carry piece. You just whip this thing out, just blast the entire fucking gang away. Like, it'd be fucking fantastic.
Just keep shooting until they leak out. You won't kill them from the impact, but they'll leak out.
But yeah, the main reason I got this is because I've always wanted a PPK. That's one of those guns where I'm not prepared to pay $1,500 for a Bubba Fuck version, but I always said that if a PPK became legal in this country, I would take a loan out to buy it if I had to. And given the fact that this is the closest thing to a PPK we can get, and it was dirt cheap, it was like, well, I was debating buying a laptop. Guess I'm not buying a laptop.
Nope.
I bought a VR headset anyways.
Is that for your VR hentai?
Not yet.
But you're going to be the one that codes that bad boy, aren't you?
It's already out there. I'm like 100% sure it's already out there. But to give you an idea, I'll hold this up next to my SIG here.
Oh, you're going to love this, Adriel. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's so small.
That's
so
pistol.
good.
Finally, I have a gun that's proportional.
I'm debating getting one of those simply just to give an excuse. They're like, look, honey, I bought you a gun. Now there's no reason you can't come shooting with me.
Honestly, this would be a fantastic gun for you to get your wife or your kid or whatever. Like, this would be a fantastic gun for women or for people with smaller hands.
I bet the recoil on it is just as bad as a full-size 9mm.
It probably is. Like, that was one of the complaints I heard about shooting this was because it's straight blowback and
it's
so
straight
light.
blowback?
It's straight blowback, so it's got really snappy recoil
that's
on it.
Gonna be terrible.
So it is going to be snappy on that, but it's got a very nice size for someone with smaller hands. And that's been, I guess, one of the big problems with getting women involved in shooting sports in this country is a lot of the smaller pistols that they buy in the States, you can't get them here because the barrel's too short on them all.
I don't know. For shooting sports, like the ladies that I know that shoot IPSC, they run Shadow 2s, and they're good to go. It's heavy.
My mom got a Shadow 1 because the Shadow 2 is just a little bit too heavy.
I would say the Shadow 1 with thin aluminum grips fits damn near everybody's hand.
Yeah,
but, I mean, that's one thing for getting
the recoil, right?
Like that's one thing for the ones who know that they're going to get into a competition, and I'm sure at that point they've looked into what they need and they've realized something like this is only really going to be viable in IDPA backup gun division. But to just introduce them to shooting sports, to get them used to the idea, like in the States, you can go and bring a woman out and get like some compact 32 or a compact 380 that will fit their hand better than something like a SIG or some of the larger 45s or something that a lot of people have. And it'll get them more interested because they'll get more used to something that's smaller, fits their hand with lighter recoil, and then they'll get into it through that, look into the competition, start getting more and more and more. And it's just, you don't have that avenue in Canada. You're basically going to go straight in or you're not doing it at all.
Yeah, and I think that like a small gun like that would be a better carry gun. You'd actually carry that. No one's going to carry a Shadow 1 or a Shadow 2.
No,
they're terrible carry guns.
And this is a carry gun. This is what it's marketed as in the States, and it's sold to like apparently police agencies in South America.
Poor police agencies.
Yeah, basically because of how fucking cheap this thing is. But apparently it's very reliable. That's what all the reviews I was reading were like, this thing is accurate and it's reliable, like 100% reliable. And everyone was like, for a gun that's $250 US, they're like, I can't believe how good this gun is. But yeah, that's the thing. I'm hoping to be able to use this in backup gun in IDPA. because technically backup gun actually has a maximum barrel length of 3.5 inches, which means you can't do backup gun in Canada. But what I'm hoping to do is go to my IDPA club and say, look, this would be legal for backup gun in America because it's 380 and it would have a 3.5 inch barrel. We can't get 3.5 inch barrels here. Can I just use this for backup gun Canada? Because I don't think the extra 3/4 of an inch of fucking barrel is going to make a huge difference on this thing. I don't think they're going to say no, realistically. I think everyone would understand why. So that's why I just got to find holsters and mag pouches.
They would understand. You're just trying to game it. You're just trying to find a division that you can win. No one else is going to be in that division. You're going to get first.
No one else is going to be in that division. That's the thing.
Not unless some old fud shows up with a fucking 38 special snub-nosed revolver that's got polished double action only triggers.
Well, that'd be Bug R division, which is they actually do technically have separate divisions for semi and revolver in backup gun.
Of course,
kind of. But I would actually be probably the youngest person in Ontario, in Canada, qualified in backup gun in IDPA after that point. And I'm basically just at this point I'm trying to go and get qualified in all the divisions. So the last thing I need to get myself is a red dot on a fucking pistol so I can qualify in carry optics.
Just duct tape a red dot to that Versa and good to go, bud.
Yeah.
Do you still have your Canic?
No, I got rid of that Canic when I got that Shadow.
Yeah.
What I've been debating, honestly, is getting a Glock 19X. And that's surprising coming from me, given that I really don't like Glocks. But when I shot the G19X, it was actually a fairly good gun. I was surprised at how much I liked it, how well it came back to where I was aiming. And so I was kind of debating. Like, I know realistically the best one to do would be actually if I was going to get a Glock, would be a Glock 34, because apparently that's what everyone in IDPA shoots. But
it's a competition gun. It's got a longer sight radius and whatever on it.
But the red dot, that doesn't matter. But so that's why I was kind of debating a Glock 19X. But at the same time, I kind of need to move out first, so that because my parents would kill me if I buy another gun without leaving this house.
Yeah. You know, I got a theory about Glocks. I kind of have the same thing as you. When I first got into shooting, I tried a Glock. I'm like, I don't like this. It's blocky. I don't really like it. But what I found is after I got shooting more and more and more, I came back to the Glocks. And I'm like, oh, actually, not that bad. And I like the reliability. I like the parts inside, the design of it. Like all the rest of it started making sense to me after I've been shooting for a while.
That's the thing is Glock. I'll never fault them on their reliability. Yeah, I like making the jokes about them exploding and all that because it's funny. But Glocks
There's a guy that had his blow up on the sub, but that's because he was using fucking reload ammo.
Oh yeah, well that's what you get for using fucking factory reloads. But Glocks are a great reliable gun. It's just they usually don't fit my hand very well, and I don't like them aesthetically. And
they got a couple different grip options, right?
They do, and I've tried a couple of them, and they were all just eh. And even when I've shot them, it's just been like, okay, whatever. Like, I shot the G48, and that one disappointed me. I was really looking forward to it because of its smaller grip, and it actually disappointed me because it's the only gun I missed with that day. But then I was like, I shot the G34 afterwards, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a Glock. I've shot this before. I got to shoot their Glock in 45 gap, and I was like...
What's it like being a meme lord?
It was actually not as bad as I thought it would be, and now I can say I've shot.
No, that's because it wasn't 357 SIG, or as Dugan Ashley calls it, 357 nerve damage.
And then what the fuck else did I shoot that day? I know I shot the G, because it was and then it was the G19X, and I remember when I first saw when they released that, it's like basically a G19 upper with a G17 frame. And I was like, doesn't this defeat the whole fucking purpose of the G19? And then when I shot it, I was like, this is actually coming back exactly where I'm aiming really fucking well here. And I popped off that 10-round mag in like no time flat on that basically IPSC steel body and hit all of them at 10 yards in like an instant. And I'm like, you know what? That was coming back. The sights were coming back real fucking good there. And I've shot I think it was a 40 cal Glock with a red dot on it, and the dude who let me shoot it, he accidentally loaded the mag backwards,
like HK style.
HK style, he had like one of like the third round in the mag was backwards. So we were actually kind of like I was trying his gun out and he was shooting another one of his guns and we were doing like a knock down the steel kind of little challenge for each other. And I'm going and shooting and I'm like, the fuck? And I look down and like the gun's out of battery and I'm like, fucking, you loaded the mag backwards. So I go and dump it and fucking just take another one of the mags and load it in there. And I go over to him afterwards. I'm like, you fucking put the bullet in your magazine backwards, you fucking idiot.
Plot twist: he did that intentionally just so he could win.
Practice
But,
your remedials.
Yeah.
No, I find
the mag. It ejected out, but yeah.
the Glock 34 with the largest grip. Like if you can get the largest grip possible, that's still comfortable. You can still hit the mag release and all that kind of stuff. What it does is give you a ton of surface area. So if you got a ton of surface area between your two hands, that's where you get like a ton of control, and that's why I epoxied the large beaver tail grip onto my Glock 34.
Oh, the glitter Glock.
Yeah. Part of it, I think, is just the feeling of the grips on the Glock too. They kind of dig into my hand a little bit.
Yeah, depending
That
on
sounds like a
how far over your thumb is. If you got your thumb too far over, it starts hitting that knuckle.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was like the pads of my fingers were getting ground on fucking side. Was that the Glock? I can't remember.
The Red Viking said on YouTube that he's going to get a Versa too, so that you won't be the youngest person in Canada qualifying for a backup gun.
Well, first he has to go and find a club that shoots IDPA, and that is definitely easier said than done.
You know, you just did a challenge accepted to somebody on the internet. They're gonna go through with it.
Go ahead. The more people who get involved in this shit, the better. I hope he does. I hope he qualifies backup gun. I hope he has a fucking blast shooting this pistol. I hope I get to shoot with him someday. Honestly, that.
Wow. You're
Go
such
ahead.
an advocate. I am so proud of you.
He's fucking great.
There's an IDPA club in Manitoba, I think. But
There's
there's
one
nothing
somewhere
out
in
here.
Alberta. There is one. I think it's in, like,
is
Red
that on
Deer.
the one gun club in Manitoba?
Red Deer, you said?
I think so. I know there's one IDPA club in Alberta, and I have no idea where it was. Like IDPA's website lists all
does IDPA
20.
shoes.
Really?
No, my club, Buffalo Target Shooters, does IDPA shoes.
UTSA.
Yeah, there's like literally 20 something IDPA clubs in the entirety of Canada, and they're all on
Of course,
IDPA's
my club
website.
has that. They're real fetish there.
But yeah, so there was that. I went shooting on Sunday and just shot a lot of 22. I went to some fucking range that's got some really dumb fucking rule about no full metal jacket on the indoor range,
Wait,
and
what?
you can't shoot outdoors until 1 p.m. on Sunday because you don't want to disturb the nearby church. So they say total metal jacket's fine, pure lead's fine, and any 22 is fine, but not 22 Magnum or 17 HMR, despite the fact that you could go and shoot 357s inside. It's just the rules make no fucking sense whatsoever. But I just
it sounds to me like Billy Bob wrote those.
yeah, well, when the first time that I went there a couple years back, someone said, "Oh, you know, Wolf ammo is perfectly allowed on the range because it's total metal jacket." And when I heard that, I'm like, "Huh, I wonder if anyone here has a relationship with the guys who make Wolf ammo."
I don't shoot Wolf because one of the rounds blew up in my gun.
Yeah, I don't shoot Wolf either because I remember finding one of the bullets halfway down the fucking range after that day, and I'm like, no, never shooting this again. But yeah, so I just shot a lot of 22. I brought the 22 kit for my SIG and shot that. I brought my 22 gun rifle. I brought my 22 revolver and just shot 22.
Oh, your Arminus, the German one?
Yeah, the Arminius. I had that fall out of my safe the other day, and it cracked the really big fucking grip a bit. So now there's this like chunk out of the thumb rest, and I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. So I kind of just rearranged my safe about where everything was resting.
Where did it fall off? Like a shelf?
It fell off a shelf and like hit the side of the fucking bottom, like the metal there. And
did I remember the thing that I showed you last week? The little pouches that you can stick to the side?
yeah.
To get those, man, those things are so
Well, the
sweet.
thing is, I've already got my door full of holsters.
No, this isn't on the door. This is on the side of the safe. Like, the side of the safe isn't completely covered. I can guarantee you there's space near the top where all the barrels are. You can stick that right on the side and rest it on the barrel rests that are mounted to the side of the safe. That's where all my shit is.
Yeah. Actually, that's where this is kind of being rested on the scope standoffs, which
Yeah,
when
exactly.
the Arminius fell out of my safe, it knocked one of those scope standoffs off and like broke it. And as I put another one on, I went to test it and it snapped immediately. So I put a third one on and just kind of left it there. And I'm like, you can just stay. But now this is resting on top of that because I have no more room in the rest of my safe. Because it's so full of all the guns I don't own.
Yeah. You need your own safe, homie.
This is my safe.
Oh.
I already like years ago bought mine because of like mine and my parents' guns were filling theirs. So
yeah,
that I've already filled. I think I own as many guns as my parents do combined.
Attaboy. The amount of guns I have is equal to the amount of guns I own minus one.
Yeah. Corey, wondering if I have any opinions on The Mandalorian. I haven't seen it. However, the idea of I'm a Mandalorian, firearms are my religion makes me want to put down Mandalorian as my religion on the census.
This is the way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
After all, if people can be a Jedi, I can be a Mandalorian.
I 100% in agreement with this. Somebody said, is that it, by the way?
UPS lost my ammo and then found it the day that they realized they lost it. So I ordered 500 rounds for this shit from SFRC and I got 15% off for Black Friday. So it was a pretty good deal at 175 after taxes and shipping for 500 rounds of 380, which was a really good price.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah.
Isn't it usually the same or more than 9 mil?
It's more than 9 mil. It's way more than 9 mil. It's like more. The cheap stuff is $18.99 for a box of 50.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
And more expensive stuff that you can find more easily is $21.99 for a box of 50.
Ooh.
But yeah, so this was pretty cheap, and it's bar and all steel case, but I don't care. But I bought it like literally Black Friday, or the day before, and it shipped out like fairly quickly, and then UPS got it to Caledon December 3rd and then just lost it. Like there was nothing for a week, and I gave them a week to deliver it, and there was no updates whatsoever. So I called them and I'm like, hey, what happened to my package? And they said, okay, dispatch will call you within an hour to sort this out. Okay, fine. 3 hours later, I call back and go, hey, I was told dispatch was supposed to call me about this. And the next representative goes, oh, I'm sorry, but because it hasn't been scanned in 48 hours, you have to start an investigation because this package is considered like lost. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This has ammunition in it. Am I going to have to call the police now? And he's like, sir, I understand this is like whatever, because I'm sure they get a lot of people threatening to call the cops because they lost their package. But I was legitimately worried, like, this is ammo. Do I have to call the police? And I said that when I called SFRC, and I'm like, hey, can you open an investigation? UPS lost my shit. And I'm like, do I have to fucking tell the police about this? They're like, no, don't worry about that. We'll handle everything. 20 minutes later, UPS Investigations calls me and says, hey, did you receive the package? And I'm like, no, you fucking idiot. That's why you're investigating. 20 minutes after they hang up, my dad texts me and goes, hey, your package from UPS showed up. But it showed up at my neighbor's house.
Close enough. They tried real hard.
Was interesting? The neighbor, I think he's a British immigrant. I'm not sure. They're new to the neighborhood. But my dad's been like thinking the guy's been like dropping hints that he might have guns. And the guy comes over the package. He's like, hey, this is addressed to your son. It sounds like ammo. Is it ammo?
You know.
So
nobody knows what ammo sounds like unless they've ordered ammo.
Exactly.
And ammo.
So that's a pretty big hint.
And so heavy.
Yeah. So that was a
sounds
pretty
like
big
there's
hint
lots of
there.
loose little bits in there, probably metal.
Kind of rattly.
Yep.
Lead.
So there's that, but yeah, I finally it showed up like the day I called and got an investigation started. And there's no way that they found it after the investigation was started, because there's no way they got it from like the edge of Mississauga to my house in like a grand total of 30 minutes, unless they were like absolutely flooring it. But yeah, other than that, the Bursa came. That I was surprised. This only took 2.5 weeks to clear the CFO. And apparently CFO wait times in Ontario right now are like a month and a half. So I got this pretty fast. I literally was calling this my Christmas present when I bought this like mid-November, because that's when I was expecting to get this was Christmas. And so my Christmas present came early. No, Tactical Imports didn't start selling these until they were already in country, so they
Good
could
job,
start
Tactical
shipping them
Imports.
as soon as they could. And
job.
I bought this like the day they posted on CGN. I had found out about it the night before. I think I texted you about it
Yeah.
like that time, and then I slept on it. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm buying this. And then I check CGN, and they've posted about it on CGN, and I'm like, thank God I bought this when I did, or else it's going to be out. This is going to be out of stock. And sure enough, they're out of the black one. And then another thing I bought for Black Friday was VR. I am part of the
for
future.
your tactical operation games or hentai.
Literally, the first things I bought for VR were Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades, which is a VR gun range,
I remember that.
and Pavlov VR, which is basically VR Counter-Strike. And
Nice.
And some
I
other
also bought
unmentionables, some things you can't mention on the air.
Yeah, and, what is it? Tentacle
Schoolgirl,
girls,
lolly.
the girls and tentacles anthology.
Necopara made idle dancing.
We don't actually want to hear the name of it.
Please don't tell us your kinks. This is not that kind of show. I mean, we're already on enough list as it is. So.
But yeah, and then I bought some sword fighting, what Blade and Sorcery, I think it's called, and that one, like, it's very disorienting to get used to VR, but that's not gun related. H3 is a very accurate simulation of firearms, though. Like, it's one guy developing the whole thing, and he's putting some very good time into making sure the guns he puts in the game are accurate.
That's always fun.
So that is good. But yeah, it's basically all I've done. I got LPPK.
I like that better. LPPK.
I got VR.
Technically, it would be La
shot
PPK.
things. La PPK.
Mm-hmm.
Female.
Yes.
Guns are female. Why the fuck?
That, especially
pistols are-
that one.
Why
That
the
one's
fuck?
No,
definitely
actually, La
female.
Escopeta. Pistols and shotguns are feminine. Rifles are masculine.
La Pistola. Yeah. Fuck. I hate gendered languages. Like they're so French is.
Whoa, you
gendered
hate
too.
genders, bro?
Yes. This. I am a
got a
millennial.
deal
I
for
hate
you.
genders. They are fluid.
La pistola, la escopeta, el rifle.
El rifle. Okay, great. Fuck. It's like when I was learning French, and I'm like, why do I have to remember what gender the fucking chair is?
That's a good point.
Like, fuck that.
La silla.
Spanish is the same. Fuck that nonsense.
Cool.
Oh, that's good.
Mierda.
Mierda.
Okay, Adriel, what have you done?
Some stuff. Wore a sleeping bag, went and shot a 3-gun match. That was kind of fun.
That was a nice video watching you with that.
I thoroughly enjoy that, Adriel. I thoroughly enjoy that.
So I was running an M1 Garand in 308 because I haven't shot it a lot, and I've got I've got like 200 rounds of IWI, IMI, whatever the Canadian ammo is.
Damn.
IMI.
Find that.
IMI.
A friend, and yeah, so I was like, I gotta shoot this thing. I have like 12 end blocks or something like that, so I got like gobs of ammo all on end blocks, don't even have to reload in the match. So I took that out, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna run an M1 Garand, I'm not competitive. I'm gonna run whatever crap I've got hanging around the house. So let's run like the cheapest pistol I've got, a Gersan 9mm. Especially also because the mags, it uses CZ75 mags, so I can fit them in my mag pouch, and I don't have to change out my mag pouches. I was thinking about running the glitter Glock, but I didn't feel like changing out my mag pouches. And then for the shotgun, I had a Pardis semi-auto that I have thoroughly mangled. And
I love what you've done to that gun.
that.
It's so gnarlified.
Yeah, and did pretty well with it. Yeah,
that was basically just the most impractical rifle, and then the cheapest everything else you could possibly get.
The most impractical rifle would have been a bolt action with a 5-round blind mag.
Okay, the most impractical semi-auto, other than a
Yes.
Browning bar.
yes, yeah, pretty. The rifle, it did hold me back.
You were having issues loading, I noticed.
Yeah, I normally with an M1 you can just kind of slap it forward and it goes. With this one, I had to rip it back, and a couple of times I got some weird jams. Actually, one bit of footage that I didn't get in after the match was finished. We had a head-to-head, and my first head-to-head, I was doing good, ping, 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 a long range on rifle, and then looked over, and the charging handle had come off of the bolt. Because the op rod charging handle all kind of is like one big assembly, and it kind of rides on the bolt. It had gotten cold. It was like -15. It had snowed on it, so probably some ice got in there or some shit, and that came off. So I had to slap it back in. But by the time I had it in, got that shot off, dumped my rifle, went to the shotgun. Buddy against me who had already beat me. So
could it have also been the ammo being too hot, or
perhaps? Perhaps I would say perhaps.
So, I don't know how hot IMI is loaded or anything like that.
It's just 147, like typical 308. So I don't.
Let me tell you, just from the footage that I could see from that match, that thing looks like it shoots so smooth. Like it doesn't look like it kicks a lot. Like no recoil that's like throwing you off aim or anything.
Nah,
You're just fucking like
gas. 308. Yeah, that one really close array was sweet. Just to run like a full 8 out of a grand, ba 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 ba, bing, reload. We're done with that one. Yeah, that was sweet. Just trying to think if anything else from that match was interesting. I don't think so. I wore a sleeping bag, a wearable sleeping bag.
Yo, did you see that? You gotta capitalize on that market. Sleeping gear, guy.
You're running around basically in a tactical snuggie.
Yeah. Tactical snuggie. Yeah, and I did.
You were
pretty
warm
well.
though. You were warm.
I was very warm. Actually, I had it unzipped. It like has a zipper that goes down the side there. I had it like down to my belly button almost the whole day because it was just too hot. I got first in limited, second overall for the match. The guy who beat me is running full modern gear. Shout out to AR, all that jazz, and I was 2 seconds behind.
So you're humble bragging because you still got second with a fucking Garand and garbage guns.
Yes. I am.
So the next thing you got to do is go for the modified old school. So you get your Garand in 308, you get a 1911 in 9mm, and you get like one of those knockoff shotgun trench guns.
My buddy was running the lever action Norinco for his shotgun. He was running an
1887. Yes, because there's only one of those. Yes.
Whichever one you load like you pull it back and you load the
1887.
Yeah, that's the 1887.
Yep.
Wow.
That was that's not a good shotgun to run for.
That is handicapping yourself.
Yeah, well,
very much so. And he was running an SKS too, which is like he was doing the 10-round cup the mag thing to have the extra capacity, and then 5s in between. No, he ran it really well. He's a good shooter, but I think the Garand was a better choice than SKS. A little bit more expensive, but
I've given, believe it or not, I've given it some thought to how to properly run an 1887 tactically, and there is like after you empty the tube, it becomes a 2-shot because you can stick one in the chamber and you can drop down the elevator and get a second round in there. You can have 2 back-to-back shots.
Yeah, it's pretty fiddly though.
But that's it. And if you don't rip on that fucking lever, you get failures to eject because modern ammunition is too long. The hulls are too long to eject out of most.
It's a 2.5-inch chamber.
No, it's a 2 3/4-inch chamber, but the action was made for 2.5.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and then they have a redesign, or you just get one of those cheap Turkish knockoff levers, like what I got, and holds 8 rounds in the mag.
yeah,
good.
But
I
like
still
I said,
need to see if that'll cycle mini shells. Could it be hilarious to load a whole thing of mini shells in the fucking mag tube?
yeah, that would be pretty good.
Anyways, 3-gun match was fun. I sold some guns. I put a 1022 in an aluminum chassis. This is the Spectre Ballistics chassis with like AR guts on everything else. I did a review of the Tapco version of this. And the whole idea of getting one of these is I run Maple Seed events. I want to be able to have a gun that kids can shoot, and part of having kids shoot is that they got like little like T-Rex arms, so they can't reach the trigger if you have it all the way to the back. So you just run the stock up closer, and then there's practically no length to pull on this thing when it's set like that. So that's why I got the Tapco.
Could you collapse it even more? You've got another step in there, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
pretty compact.
You could run it Scorpion style. Just rest it on your chin.
Yeah. So
I've never tried that. I never will.
Do it.
So Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's got a ton of room for the barrel. If you guys can see there, it's got that much room like everywhere on this thing. So
They really want you to know it's free floated.
and you can run a heavy barrel on here, and there's room. And one thing that I've seen is that you get a free float forend, and then you put an accessory on it, and all of a sudden it's touching the fucking barrel. There's like gobs of room. Even though I put something on this M-lock here, yeah, there's quite a bit of room underneath there before it gets to the barrel. So that's kind of neat. So yeah, it's a way of using AR parts on a 1022. The other thing that these guys do is they use both the action screw on the bottom, and then they replace one of the pins with a threaded pin, and then you tighten it in from both sides. So
with a Chicago screw.
Yeah, on both sides. Yeah. That's the idea. So that pin through the receiver is also clamped into the frame here. So not really going to move. This receiver is really in this stock, not going to come out. So that was kind of neat.
Nice.
And then on the Black Friday sales, what did I get from the Black Friday sales? I got a Savage Axis for my boy to start hunting, and then they also have like $100
Mailing rebates.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And I picked up this super light little gun. It's a Mossberg Plinkster. Go this way so you guys can see it. And it is light and plasticky and pretty shitty.
Yep.
But it was $129, which is pretty good.
See, okay, actually, I'll talk about this later. Keep going.
Mag release, I would consider it to be better than the Savage 795, but that's just because the mag release on the 795 is so bad. The Savage 64 has a... Sorry, did I say Savage? Marlin.
Savage.
Marlin.
Marlin 795. Terrible. Savage 64, also terrible. The 64 has the mag release up here. The Marlin, you gotta like grip it like this and pull it out. This one, you can at least do it one-handed. You can push on this guy here and pull the magazine out. It's not a terrific feeling magazine. Feels like crap, looks like crap. It's a cheap magazine and it's cheaply made. It's really crappy.
Remington has a drop free in the 597. It's just a pull back on the side
right
there.
Here.
It just
Yeah.
falls out.
And with the 1022s, they also drop free. All you need to do is like push there, and the mag drops
if your mags are good. If your mags are good, they'll drop free.
I've seen some 1022s that were real fucked.
There's the nut on the front of the 1022. If it's too tight in that pocket on the front, they stick. So what you need to do is on that nut on the mag, you need to just cut the edge on it, and they'll fall free.
Or
I had all my mags.
If the stock is too narrow on the sides, then the mag well is too narrow and it'll hold the mags.
Yeah. But this one is like you're pushing and pulling, and it's got such a chintzy little, like basically they hit this with like a Dremel, and that is what's hanging onto the mag. It's really crappy. Really crappy.
So you pull hard enough without even hitting the release, and that mag will probably come out.
Nope, this one's not.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, they've got some mechanical advantage there. It does have a last shot bolt hold open, but the crappy thing, it's
the follower.
It's just sitting on the follower, so if you pull the mag out, it goes forward. Now, they do have a lock on the bolt. If you pull the bolt back and then push it in and then let go, that'll lock the bolt. You can't just pull it out. You have to also push down, out, and then let go.
That's dumb as hell. That's almost as dumb as the Ruger bolt lock.
I mean, that's like the Savage.
Worse,
the 64 is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, like the in the olden days, they're like, oh, we'll just put like a little area here, and you just push it in, and that'll hold your bolt open if you needed to hold the bolt open. And it's just dumb. It's just a terrible idea.
Did you guys see that post from the dude on the sub who was like, how do I lock the bolt back on my Savage 64? There's this big circle thing here, but I don't know why it's not holding.
Yeah.
And
When I
someone's just
approved
like,
that, I immediately said, like, I'm not reading this because I'm going to get an aneurysm.
yeah. So the first response was, did you consider pushing in on the bolt handle? And the guy replied with, man, I'm a fucking idiot.
Wow, I mean, if you're not used to guns, you're not used to like those kinds of mechanisms. That's a weird mechanism. The fact you have to like pull it back to just this exact spot and then push it in and it'll lock it, like what a dumb idea. And outdated.
Canadian
as well.
ingenuity.
Yeah. You want to talk about ingenuity? This rear sight is is a sight to behold. This thing is like the cheapest designed rear sight. Now it's fully adjustable. It's got elevation adjustments there, windage right there. So
It
very
almost looks like
clear.
it's pointing at a fucking angle from the barrel.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So like you use this, you torque this thing down or up, and
No, but I mean, like, it's not centered with the barrel. It looks like it's pointing off to the fucking side.
no,
It's probably just the
It's
Well,
just
you're
the angle. Keep going, Andrew.
yeah, it's fine. It's not pointed at an angle. And then the front sight is like a hooded fiber optic. They put like an angle on here to make it look cool, and it's just a bad idea because that's going to catch on everything. Like, this is the right idea. Like, good front sights are supposed to be snag free, and by doing that, they make it not snag free, and it's super thin. This shit is gonna break. You're gonna break this front thing off.
It's not like designing
Is it attached or is it meant to be
money
removed?
or anything either? Like,
You could remove it because it's like clamped into this piece of plastic on the sight base here is
Are you
plastic.
sure that's not like a removable front cover?
You could
it probably
remove it.
is.
You could remove it, but then your fiber optic is just sitting out there in the wind.
Well, isn't that what most front sights do?
Not on a rifle. You can't have your front sight sitting out like that. Here.
Not if they're that exposed and that long too, because that's a
Yeah.
fairly like long fiber optic. On the rifle ones, they'll usually have the fiber optic like enclosed, which defeats the purpose of it, but protects it more.
Yeah, I mean this is like just a little tiny piece of steel that's just covering it over, I guess. And
I'm pretty sure that's meant to be like that, though.
removable.
Yeah.
Well, why?
For literally what I just said. Like, you put it on when you're walking around or something like that. Like, remember, this doesn't have to make sense. It just has to make sense for someone.
Someone
it's-
in Brazil. This gun is made by CVC. Did you guys know that? CVC is the company in Brazil that makes these. That's the name of the company, CVC. It was $129. This is the lightest semi-auto rimfire that's like at a reasonable price point. That's not like a survival rifle or something like that. 3 3/4 pounds.
Fuck, I was gonna say the 66 or 4 pounds. Is it lighter?
3 3/4 pounds of shit.
Pretty light. And I mean, like the Marlin 795 uses basically the same stock, basically the same action, but the barrel is a lot heavier on the 795. This one's got a thinner profile barrel on it and a real weird crown that is also kind of chintzy. Like everything on the rifle's chintzy, right?
The only thing is, like, I've heard those Mossbergs are like real shit on reliability.
Yeah,
compared
I've
to the
heard the same
795,
thing.
which is a fantastically reliable gun. So, I mean, 22 actions are all straight blowback, pretty much. But whatever Mossberg is doing, they're doing it pretty fucking wrong.
Remember, you have to
Compared
try
to
to break a 22,
just about
and they have
everyone
succeeded.
else.
Well, I'm going to a maple seed thing this Saturday, so I'll have this out, and we'll see if it can run in -10 or so. I'm betting.
I'm gonna
not.
go with maybe. I think my buddy had one of those. That's why I'm shit talking it so hard. It wasn't the greatest gun.
Yeah, but
We
metal sling swivels.
What? Not molded into the stock?
No, not molded into the stock. And look at this butt pad. Look at this. Look how much spring is in this thing. This is like you could fire a shotgun with this butt pad, and it'd be like, oh, it's kind of comfy. And they put that on a 22.
That's some big brain shit right there. That's what you call a pro gamer move.
Yeah, very comfortable, very comfortable. And then just today, so I got this medical kit, and I just recently ordered and got a Cat 7 tourniquet to throw in there, just in case I need something more heavy duty for a tourniquet.
You need to plug a leak.
Need to plug a bigger leak, or I need to plug a leak on me, because the other one I had in here was like you basically need 2 hands to do it, and if you get an arm or something like that, a one-hander is the way to go. And the Cat 7s you can strap on your own arm and then torque them down. So
Nice.
just in case.
Just in case. It's the safe thing to do.
Yep. I mean, if you don't have one of those and you need it, you could try to make something work out of some crap you got around, but that takes seconds, and grabbing one of those and torquing it down on someone is a lot easier and a lot more sure that it's going to work. So, yeah. That's about all I did. What about you, Grover?
So Black Friday happened, and
You're still married.
that happened.
Weird.
That happened. Like 6 boxes of that.
How are you still married after Black Friday?
Because my wife loves me.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
You gotta
And then
hide
2
the credit
boxes.
card receipts.
Oh no, dude! My money's my money. She's got her money, and we pay for the house together. That's it.
So, which of the things did you end up keeping that you told me about, and which of them didn't you?
Oh, so that was one of the things that I did get at Cabela's. I know I got something else, but I can't remember what. Then I ordered this part for my Grizzly, by the way, Red Viking. This is a Grizzly, not an 870, so it's the 8.5-inch barreled one. This is the Delask Grizzly aluminum railed forend that comes with rails on all 3 sides that are removable, except Delask forgot one of the rails for my order, so they're sending me the one that's missing. And that's going to be holding onto this unless I determine whether or not this thing actually stays locked. If you don't have a hand on it, then I'll get rid of it. Because I have a rail coming that I also ordered, and Picatinny, aluminum Picatinny rail sections, because I'm hoping to strap this to an M-lock section of a handguard of an undetermined firearm. Another thing that I got was this tactical light right here that came when I went to the Cabela's Black Friday event. It's a perfect home defense setup, as you can see. You just mount it right there, and you're good to operate. Yeah. You can just illuminate your threats, and you're good to go. And that bit was a bit of sarcasm. This bad boy is actually, I'm not sure if it is exactly meant for that, but since it's got a strong enough magnet, what I've done is I've mounted it to the door of my safe. So anytime I need to go in my safe, I open the door, click, and because of the way the door opens and this thing is stuck to it, then as I open the door, it's
I heard
right
that if you have a flashlight, perps will shoot at the flashlight. So the fact that it's like 4 inches off your gun, you're safe.
Oh, that's
very
true.
safe. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. It's another programmer move right there.
Programmer
more sarcasm.
defense.
Thank you, Adriel, for that. Thank you. The other thing that I got was I also ordered a long dingus barrel for my actual 870 because the 14.5-inch barrel is cylinder bore, and if I am going to be running this as my backup gun for any kind of shooting event, in the event of shenanigans that will be referred to later on in the show, then I want something that I can put a choke on. So Delask, since they are the Bubba geniuses that they are, they buy piles of 870 Express shotguns, Bubba fuck the hell out of them, and sell them. Oh, pussy in frame. Hello, pussy. Hello, pussy.
Just to be more specific, that's
a cat.
Crazy's pussy. Yep.
Yes, Crazy's pussy is in frame.
So why didn't you just get your 14-inch barrel tapped?
Because why would I run 5 shells when I can run 8?
Because you can put a big
Bill
tube on a
Blair says
14-inch barrel. You can put a huge tube on a 14-inch barrel and still not hit the extension tube. It looks real weird, though.
I mean, I could do that, or I could just buy another barrel for $100, which is what this was.
$100 is fantastic.
Yeah. Actually, it was 129 barrels for a brand new barrel.
How long, though?
26 inches.
Ah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not a fucking bird barrel. It's not a 32-inch barrel.
Yeah. It looks long on that gun, but that's...
Oh, it is, because even it's a +3 extension, so I could get another longer extension if I want it. But I'm thinking about...
like a +5 on that mother.
Yeah.
All the way out. Yeah.
Because Bill Blair says no.
We'll talk about that later. I'm thinking I'm going to refinish this guy, because as much as I like the giraffe pink to red fade print, I don't know. I need to change it up every once in a while. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to get more Duracoat, of course, but I'm going to get Dura Blue, because I want to get this and the 14.5-inch barrel back to black goodness, but I want it to be fancy black goodness, so it's going to be a black blue. And I'm going to get everything coated in the same pattern. I mean, in the same finish. So it's going to be the receiver, the long barrel, the short barrel, and the mag tube. And it's going to be so fucking sweet, guys.
Why don't you get every single thing painted in a different neon color?
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. It was a question between Durablue and being serious and electric fucking purple again. But I couldn't do that again. I mean, I've done it before. I would feel lame doing it again. And all the other electric colors are just kind of meh. Although I did have a hankering for like a nice electric blue like on these pliers. But again, I've already done blue. So I'm just going to go with regular blue because I'm lame like that. What else? Oh, yeah. Range Rabbit was also having a Friday sale. So I got a 12-inch, half-inch thick Air 500 steel so that I can shoot literally whatever the fuck I want at it.
You won't hear 223 off of that, and I know from experience. I've got a half-inch thick 6-inch gong. You really can't hear it.
Well, that was exciting. I almost took off my foot.
I've actually been debating getting a 3/8 inch because I can't hear the half-inch well enough.
Well, we'll have to see what that actually does, and maybe you've just been shooting it without your electronic ear pro because I can hear any hit on any steel.
I've been shooting it with electronic ear pro. It just does not ring that well.
Interesting.
What range? Because like anything past 300 with a heavy plate is hard to hear.
200 yards. Even 100 yards.
I hear everything at 200. At 200, you can hear the impact. You can hear the bullet hitting the plate.
I've really got to listen. Like, if you know what you're listening for, you'll hear it. Yes. But you gotta be listening. And the other problem too is like Silverdale's a really loud range because I'm talking about a shitload of crap.
Doing this like out in the boonies or at my range where there is nobody ever there because all the old guys flew south for the winter. So
yeah. Yeah, I googled it. Your range is the range in Alberta that does IDPA.
I knew it.
Only one as far as I can see.
It's all guys, man. It's all guys as far as the eye can see. I've only ever gone there, and the mean age has been 55 plus. And like, actually, no. The only time that I've been there with other people, the mean age has been 55 plus. I've never seen another young guy there.
Sweet.
Except the guy that did the orientation, who explicitly say, it's really hard to change the rules in this range. We're just waiting for the old guys to die.
They said that at another range that I was at just recently here, explicitly, with old guys around them. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Speaking about old guys, this weekend was very eventful because I am now a certified firearms instructor. So expect memes in your courses done here in Calgary. Lots and lots of memes.
So, did you not buy that 586?
No.
The
guy refused to ship it. He's
that's stupid.
Yes, the guy. I was. What Crazy's talking about is I bought a powder throw and scale from Prophet River because they had it on sale, and then I backed out because I sent them a message and I returned the shipping because I saw on CGN a mint condition dingus barrel 586 357 Magnum revolver so that I could have a matching long barrel stainless steel 357 and a blued 357 long barrel, and just cause so that I could dual wield two different color guns that are the exact same guns. Unfortunately, the guy refused to ship it outside of his small hamlet in Alberta, and he would only give me the price that I asked if I picked it up. And I'm not about to drive 2.5 hours for a gun. Sorry. Adrian, you could have picked it up for me. It was Camrose.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of in between us.
It is, kind of, if you take an hour-and-a-half detour.
Yeah.
Other than that... there are news that we got to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
The shit that's just been pissing me off.
Yeah, you're gonna move to Alberta, aren't you?
I'm gonna move to America. Fuck that. Alberta's not even safe.
Nope.
That's true.
Not safe because we got people in Toronto voting for other stuff.
Yeah, people in Toronto think they know better than the people living outside of Toronto, which is
That's because Toronto's the center of the universe, after all. We're the only part of the country that matters.
That's true. Says a Torontonian. Yeah. So what's the news, Gracie?
Okay. Oh my fucking god. So, Bill Blair was stumbling over his words at some fucking parliamentary press conference and mentioned the word order in council when talking about a list of prohibited firearms that are coming.
The reporters were pressuring him. They were putting
a
lot of heat on him about, are you going to ban the Mini 14?
That's right.
Yeah. They were basically like, the media is calling for all of our guns to be banned immediately. What's funny is Bill Blair has actually said, we just got Parliament started on the 5th, and the very next day people were asking why we haven't already banned literally everything yet. So it was kind of funny to note that even he was like, you guys need to calm your fucking tits. But basically, he seemed very ill-prepared for questions about why he hasn't banned everything immediately. And during his ill-prepared answers, he said, there will be a list coming. I don't want to reveal the list because I don't want people to rush out and buy all these guns, but the order in council will be very clear, or something like that. So basically, it led to every gun rights organization shitting themselves, and everywhere on Facebook and Reddit and CGN, I'm sure GOC and everywhere else was like, oh my god, Bill Blair said they're banning everything through OIC. He said the word order in council, they're going to ban everything through OIC, which they still might. It's definitely a possibility, but I'm inclined to believe it was just Bill Blair stumbling over his words, because afterwards he has mentioned several times that it will take legislation and several years and a lot of effort to ban these guns. So you've got contradictory statements coming from him, which big surprise given the fact that he's been caught in Parliament lying multiple times about this already. So nobody really knows what the fuck's going to happen. We have him saying legislation. We have him saying order in council. We have them basically just guaranteeing they're going to ban shit. We still have the number 250,000 guns being floated around, which everyone knows is bullshit. Everyone knows it's going to be more than that. But the fact that Bill Blair said there will be a list, basically, I remember we were doing some speculation about this. I said there will be a list.
Let me just interrupt you. This magnet does not fuck around. I was thinking
that is a decent fucking magnet. But when we were speculating about shit, I said he's going to get a shopping list from the Coalition for Gun Control and just ban everything the Coalition for Gun Control has been going after for the last fuck knows how long. And the fact that he's basically mentioned there's a list coming, that basically that's what it seems like.
And a list would be necessary for an OI. Like, I don't actually know what you can do with an OIC versus what you can't. But
he could just straight up OIC semi-automatic. There's no requirement for it to be a particular make and model, as far as I'm aware. They can just deem any gun to be restricted or prohibited. So if he really wanted to, he could just theoretically with an OIC deem any semi-automatic firearm as prohibited, because they gave themselves that ability in 1995, despite the fact that some people are saying that this is not the spirit of what Order in Council was meant for, and debatably it could be challenged, but at this point, no one challenged it in the 90s. It's kind of just been sitting here for so long. Now, granted, that doesn't mean it's not unconstitutional or invalid,
but they can do it. Long story short, they can do an order of council. If they get a list from New Zealand or from Polytechnique, they can just take that and say all this shit's banned. It's prohibited.
They'll get the list from Polytechnique. Now, as for what they're going to end up doing, I actually think they're going to leave the World War II guns alone because they're not black.
You're optimistic.
That's basically it. They're going after everything that's black and has rails.
I've heard rumors.
You've heard rumors.
Really? Isn't the SKS 100% on the list that the RCMP has been fucking fuming about?
The RCMP has had a list that they've been fuming about with that, but realistically, there's got to be at least 500,000 SKSs, if not 1 million SKSs in Canada right now. The SKS is functionally unbannable. If they try, everyone will just laugh at them. And especially since then, with this whole 250,000 number they mentioned before, it'll be incredibly easy to make them out to be a bunch of fucking lying shitbags when they go and say, well, you said 250,000 guns and you're banning literally 500,000 of just one gun. What the fuck else have you been saying about this? That's bullshit.
Yeah.
But the question is, does anybody care that they're lying?
No.
They should, but they don't.
No. No, they don't.
Unfortunately.
Not about this topic.
No one in Toronto gives a rat's ass that doesn't own guns.
Correct.
Unfortunately.
Even
But,
even some of the gun community, like if you look at Reddit, a couple of people have said like, well, I didn't vote for the Conservatives because I have like other things I care about. I don't really care about LARPing with guns, and that's
that guy got a ban, by the way.
Good fucking.
good. Because
I should be banned from owning firearms. I'm tired of pussyfooting around the issue. If you didn't vote for the Conservative Party, sell your fucking guns because you don't deserve them.
Well, I can understand not being a single issue voter, but this will destroy a couple of ranges. This will destroy more than a couple gun shops.
Businesses, not just gun
yes.
shops. Businesses.
Yeah, and it's going to put our sport 10 to 20 years back. Like after the mid 90s, things really cooled off because a lot of people sat on guns and didn't get licenses because they didn't want to, and then they just couldn't do anything. They couldn't become part of the community, so they just went underground. And I think that we'll see the same thing here. A lot of people will just imagine an OIC goes out and they ban all semi-auto centerfire detachable mag guns, and they ignore the World War II stuff. I think that will destroy the community, destroy a lot of gun shops, and I think that being able to see that, you would still say, I can't in good conscience go for one of these other ones here. Yeah.
See, that's the thing is we have the Prime Minister, and when he was convicted of, in Conflict of Interest Act or some shit. What the fuck was it that he was convicted of?
Ethics violation.
Ethics committee.
When
his
he was
actions.
when he was convicted of violating the Ethics Act, he said he was standing up for Canadian jobs at SNC-Lavalin, despite the fact that SNC-Lavalin never said that any jobs were at risk. He claimed to be standing up for Canadian jobs, and that's why he broke the fucking law. And he did. We can say that definitively.
He broke a crappy law, though. Canada has a couple of different commissions. Like the ethics one is one, the human rights one is another, and they're weird.
The Ethics Commission was set up specifically to catch liberals doing this by Stephen Harper after the last time the liberals did this under Paul Martin and Jean Chrétien, and it worked fucking perfectly. But the thing is, he kept saying he was standing up for Canadian jobs despite them never being at risk.
Yeah.
This time around, the CSAAA, the industry group who represents the firearms industry in this country, is saying that this will cost tens of thousands of jobs and billions of dollars in revenue. And that's a guaranteed loss of these jobs and that money. And the Prime Minister is happily laughing in their face while he's threatening to basically get rid of all of their fucking jobs.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about job creation.
Yeah, it'd be cool if there was another party that wasn't the Cons or this PPC that at least supported the status quo. At least was like, you know what, we've got some decent laws in place right now. Let's just leave them as is. But the problem is that the Liberal Party has been on this crusade for decades now. The NDP are also voiceably anti-gun. The Greens policy looks like the Liberals' gun policy at this point. They called for the same thing: ban of assault weapons and municipal ban on handguns. And the Bloc would be likely to back any of this stuff anyways. They're literally
fucking banning guns entirely in this fucking country.
There are no political
pricks.
Allies to gun owners except for the Conservative Party. So
the thing with the Greens is they waffle. Because I remember for a while
their platform is super clear. They said exactly what the Liberals said. They're going to ban
this time around, but after the last election, for a brief period in about two or so years, around 2016, they had a fairly reasonable policy on the topic of firearms, and then sometime around 2017, their policy did a complete fucking 180 and just went absolutely nuts.
Everyone can see your comments on the side there.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah. It would be nice if one of the other political parties would have our backs and then people who were gun owners, who were also left-leaning or progressive, would have a party option. No such party exists. Maybe the Communist Party. Maybe the Communist Party, because like part of communism is like frustrating the people's right there. Like workers have to have firearms, but that's a joke party, anyways.
Fuck the Communist Party and fuck anyone who supports the Communist Party.
Keep in mind, but I wish there was an option for left-leaning people to vote for that was firearms friendly, and there is not.
There isn't, and everyone who keeps saying, well, you can change one of the... No, you fucking can't change one of the parties. They're pretty much set in fucking stone at this point. You are not changing the Liberals' anti-gun shit. You're not changing the NDP's anti-gun shit.
You might be able to do the NDP.
No.
Because, like, they're...
The NDP are more fucking nut left than the fucking Liberals.
Yeah, but left, not anti-gun. The anti-gun thing with the Liberals is because of history. It's not it shouldn't be part of the platform right now.
It runs in the NDP as well. Back to Jack Layton, he was calling for full-on handgun bans. The NDP have a long-standing history of anti-gun politics as well. That's been, in some cases, even worse than the Liberals.
Yeah. See, I'd like to interject here because of the degree of hypothetical guesswork that we're doing, and bring forth one real-life documented example of a party being changed, and that is the NDP in Alberta. The NDP provincial party was opposed to the policies of the federal NDP party.
Correct.
And the only reason that was because, guess what? They wanted to appeal to the voter base that kept them, or would have kept them, in power.
Yeah.
It needs to be significant. It needs to be vocal. It needs to be out on the streets. It needs to be a coordinated, large-scale, documented, and properly propagated campaign to create a movement that represented enough votes for the parties wanting to get in power or in power to change their platform.
And it would have to be a party other than the Liberals, because
it doesn't. It can be anyone.
No, you could not change. I'm fully convinced you could not change that party.
It's not likely, but you fucking beaver, never say never.
Honestly, the Liberals are in bed with the anti-gun lobby. 100%
100%.
You're not changing that because they're going to just pander to those fuckers.
They're not. I don't believe they are. That doesn't mean that it's not possible. You might be able to
change some of the other ones. You might be able to change the Greens,
you can change it. I mean, think about it. Think about it. It's like it's the federal NDP going, well, why aren't you telling everybody that you want to be shutting down pipelines? And the provincial NDP going, because that's going to get us shit canned.
Yeah. And anyways, we're belaboring the point. This is a moot point. Liberals are in power. The other parties will support this. What's our timelines? What's likely, and what are our options?
2 years. The average minority government lasts. If
how long does it take to get an OIC in?
Yeah, if we can stall this, if this takes, like Bill Blair blurted, it takes them a while to get this going. This may, it's not a yes, likely, not likely. This may. It's right there in the middle. I would say 50-50. This may not change anything.
I would put odds higher than 50-50 that the Liberals are going to put an OIC in and ban some shit. Ban some semi-auto rifles because they can, because it's a thing right in front of them. They're facing heat right now from the anti-gun lobbies, and it's easy. They don't lose any votes because they do it. None of their voting base is gonna be like, whoa, you guys banned the AR-15, you guys put those to prohib. Oh, I didn't really like that. What are you guys doing?
I agree with you.
I have a theory. Thing ever. There's no, like, the paperwork for legalizing marijuana took a lot of time. You had to negotiate with the provinces, and what a mess. But like putting an OIC in that says like, hey, ARs that were restricted are now prohibited. You can't take them to the range anymore because we won't give you an ATT. We'll figure out the legislation on whether we pay you for those or not later. For now, they just stay in your house. That's easy to do.
I have a theory regarding that, and that is the strategy going forward for campaigning for the Liberals, which is 100% urban. It is 100% focusing on urban centers with an absolute and complete forfeiture, basically. Like they forfeit every single rural riding. They're not going to get in anywhere.
They still get them in the Atlantic provinces. We're talking
Not
political.
anymore.
We're talking
Like,
political
it
strategy.
could be changing. Yeah, it could be changing, and I think I see it changing a little bit. I'm no political scientist, but I see it as a doubling down on the urban centers. They're going after Vancouver. They're going after Toronto. They're going after Montreal and saying fuck everything else. We can keep getting in under the current system, just scraping by on the urban centers.
And that's exactly why they didn't change the current system like they promised to. You look at the results of the election, they would have lost this election if they'd modified it because they don't have the popular vote.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anywho, so we have differing opinions on timeline for OIC. Crover, you said 2 years is what a minority
I said the
takes.
average majority government lasts 2 years, according to Crazy right here.
Yeah.
And so
18 months, if I'm not mistaken, was
I think it's going to be similar to what happened in the last government, except now they have to maybe pander more. It's they say they're going to do it, and are they going to do it? Well, maybe they're going to talk about it and throw a soft win in Bill C-71. Are they going to do it now? Are they instituting something right away, or are they going to sit on it, pander it, and throw a softball at the end of their mandate in the form of an AOC? I have no idea. I'd say it's 50-50.
So
Crazy.
During their campaign, they pledged that whatever they did, there would be an accompanying 2-year-long amnesty period for compliance. So even if they OIC these things to prohib, I don't think the amnesty would start immediately there, because the amnesty would have to start after they've got the legislation in place for instituting the extortion of our firearms from us. And that's what I'm going to keep referring to it as. It's not a buyback. It's extortion. But so even if they OIC this, it can't be done until probably end of January, beginning of February. We're not going to see anything in regards to this until then, because realistically, there's not enough time left in December and January, because the government takes a very long vacation from mid-December until like the end of fucking January. So we're not likely to see anything until February, possibly March. Early January at the earliest. It's not going to get done in December. Whether it's an OIC or not, who knows? They're not going to be able to take the guns immediately after that. They've already said that. So then legislation, even if it's introduced in February, as early as it can reasonably be introduced, they've said they want to get it passed by the summer. It's not going to. Realistically,
well, which part? Like, because they'll have to do some sort of legislation for the buyback. The OIC,
that's what they said they want. No, that's what they said they want by the summer. Is they want this buyback start. They want this extortion started by the summer.
Maybe they'll have the legislation written, but they won't have it passed by the summer.
No, obviously not. And that's the thing with that is, it'll be about a year. And the biggest thing with this is, in the last government, when they wanted something to go through, like with C-71, they just passed a motion to limit debate on it. So no matter what you did, it was like, oh, fuck you. They can't do that anymore. They don't have enough votes to do that. So I sincerely doubt that the opposition parties, even those that support this, are going to support a motion to limit debate on it, simply because that seems like supporting something that's very anti-democratic to their voting base, because people really don't like it when governments pass motions limiting debate on topics. So that can be used by the Conservatives, especially, to delay this legislation in Parliament a lot by demanding more time to debate it and organizing more and more speakers and witnesses and people to come in and talk about it. The same can be done in the Senate. So realistically, even after they introduce legislation, it'll be I think at least a year until it's passed and receives royal assent. After it does, then comes the lawsuits, because there will be lawsuits. There will be numerous lawsuits. For one, if they try and do this municipal handgun ban bullshit, that's unconstitutional. Like
They tried to. They did lawsuits around the Quebec registry too, right? The NFA ran a lawsuit, and
yes,
there were a bunch of private ones as well.
Now they did not get an injunction passed on that because the judge said, "Oh, it's not a big enough deal." But when it comes to confiscating people's property, the judge will be like, "I don't think there will be any reasonable judge that won't grant the injunction against the law when it involves literally confiscating people's shit." So the portion of it about banning whatever, unfortunately, that's constitutional. The handgun ban bullshit, the way they want to implement it is fairly, in my mind, like said and done, almost undeniably unconstitutional. They do not have the authority to give municipalities the ability to ban handguns. That's got to be done at a national level across the entire country, because the Constitution says that criminal law is the sole purview of the federal government, and existing case law says that gun control is criminal legislation. So that has to be done at the federal level. This is different than the Quebec's registry, which is not giving anyone a criminal conviction. A municipal handgun ban, the way they're talking about it, would be a criminal conviction for having a handgun in those municipalities. That's not constitutional.
But how come what would you say that their objective is to institute a way for municipalities to enact legislation? Because that's the only way that it would work. That is the only thing that a municipality could do is pass a bylaw, and a bylaw is not a criminal charge.
That's exactly what the intention of ban handguns is legislation that has with it criminal weight. Otherwise, it's not banned. If a municipality just says, "Oh, a bylaw is passed and whatever," big fucking whoop. Everyone you can just ignore that, and frankly, it's debatable as to whether or not there's any authority to that anyways. But the thing behind ban is that it has criminal ramifications to it, and that's not something that municipalities can be given the ability to do, according to our constitutional division of powers. That power rests solely in the federal government. So if they try and pass this municipal bullshit, right away, I expect that they'll be sued. And if I have to be the one suing them and foregoing my fucking moving out of this house with the money I'm saving up to try and get a down payment on the unaffordable Toronto housing market, I will be the person to do that if I have to. I really don't want to, but I will.
Bucks. I'll give you $100. $100 for you.
That's the thing.
GoFundMe.
That injunction will at least put that portion on hold, if not the entire law. I fully expect there will be other aspects of the law that will be unconstitutional. They've already said they want to limit advertising of firearms as well, which we already know from existing case law has been acknowledged by the Supreme Court to be a violation of Section 2 of the Charter.
What is Section 2 of the Charter?
Section 2 of the Charter is the right to freedom of opinion and expression one part of it is the right to freedom of opinion and expression. And the part of this I'm going to point to is a law that was allowed to stand despite the fact that it was ruled unconstitutional, which is the ban on advertising tobacco. The Supreme Court fairly unanimously said, yes, this law is unconstitutional. It violates tobacco companies' right under Section 2. However, Section 1 of the Charter gives the Supreme Court the ability to completely ignore the fact that something is unconstitutional. Specifically, that something is in violation of the Charter. So I expect, again, a constitutional challenge about the prohibition of certain kinds of firearms advertising that they've promised, as we wait to see if the Supreme Court will decide to agree that it's unconstitutional, which is what we would expect them to do. Frankly, I expect them to say, yes, it's unconstitutional. What we then have to worry about is whether they will use the Section 1 Charter override to say, yes, it's unconstitutional, but we don't care. We're going to let it stand anyways. Because that's what Section 1 allows them to do.
Is this firearms advertising? Is this show firearms advertising?
Well, and there's the thing is they talked about the glorification of violence in advertising. So will that affect movie posters and movie campaigns? Will people be able to advertise, the next series of the Avengers because there's too much gun violence in it? Will the next Expendables Or
What
John
about
Wick.
me running around in a sleeping bag, shooting a Garand in the snow?
That's no good. No, you're going to hell.
Oh,
You're
Exactly.
going to hell.
Well,
Straight to hell.
But how much does that
Okay.
constitute advertising? Are you trying to sell anything through that?
sleeping
Maybe.
bags.
Sleeping
Wearable
bags.
sleeping bags.
But this is exactly it. Is what they're proposing has a number of flaws in it, and there's already 2 flagrant constitutional violations that would likely lead to, in both cases, injunctions, if not to the entire law, then to parts of the law until those court cases can be settled, and that's going to take several years potentially for that to be done. And so if those injunctions can be drawn out over several years to stop the law from coming into force, then we can keep drawing this out. And
Well,
again, it's not likely
tell you what, like drawing it out, sure. What would be really nice is if people who are in areas where the NDP or Liberals stand a chance of winning, it'd be really cool if you guys talk to your MPs and try to convince them not to do this kind of thing. I'm in Alberta. I can't. My MP is is conservative, and there's just no chance of anyone else getting elected. He's pro-gun, or at least he's neutral gun. Like the conservatives don't typically do that much. They kill liberal policies. Don't necessarily if they were truly pro-gun or they truly cared about us, they would have put in some sort of better criminal law around it instead of
Harper would have followed
undoing
through on his pledge when he was leader of the Alliance Party to scrap the entire Firearms Act.
and put
which you can
something
find
else
a
in that
recording.
makes sense. Put okay, classification is if it's this long or longer than that, it's non-restricted. If it's shorter, it's
Now,
restricted.
that
And if it's full auto, it's prohibited. And Bob's your uncle, we're done. That's the
that
whole
was
thing.
in their platform for the last
I want
election.
everything.
Well, not in their,
I
that was in their
want
party.
everything. Everything. Give me a license and I want to own it all.
Same.
The right license.
I would
That's
happily-
that's my
should be able
Firearms
to
Act.
allow
I
you.
would happily go broke firing a full auto Scorpion
This-
all
This
day.
right
I
here.
don't
Give me a piece of plastic that says I can own a fucking
Well,
M2 Medusa.
Like,
I want a Medusa.
if you guys were really into explosives, you guys could get demolitions license, and you guys could go demolish buildings. You guys could get a movie license and start doing those big gasoline explosions. There's lots of stuff you could do, right? With the
Pyrotechnics
correct
license.
yeah, with the correct licensing, you can basically do whatever you want to, if you have enough money. And I think that the same thing could be said for firearms. At this point, I would just like something that makes a little bit more sense, because are Beowulf mags legal or illegal? Are LAR mags legal or illegal? Are Blaze 47s prohibited AK-47 variants, or are they a 22 with a different furniture stock on? These should be easy things to answer that we shouldn't have to be humming and hawing about. And it's really annoying that we have these laws in place. The Liberal Party is going to put more of them in place, and it's just going to get worse.
Now, another thing to note from the political aspect is Trudeau did not win the popular vote. And the last time this happened, apparently, was when Joe Clark formed a conservative minority in between 2 governments of Pierre Trudeau in the 70s. And his party lasted his government lasted not even 6 months. And it was defeated, I think, on its first major budget. Now, the only issue with that is the Conservatives are out for Andrew Scheer's blood, and the public doesn't like him. So if he were smart, I mean, he obviously doesn't want to put himself out of the potential job of Prime Minister here that's going to likely come from another election, but if he were smart and actually cared about his party winning now at this point, Trudeau's got enough bad shit going around him that people would be more inclined to vote for the Conservatives with a leader who's not kind of a slime ball. So
That guy's
Scheer...
greasy.
Scheer would, if he cared, he would resign and allow the Conservatives to have a leadership convention in April alongside the party convention.
You know who they need? They need a woman. They need Michelle Rempel on the front.
Realistically,
Michelle
the
Rempel
Conservatives...
would be badass to put in there.
She is so
good.
pro-gun.
Well, she's pro liberty. She's very libertarian in her approach, and I would love Michelle Rempel to be running the Conservative Party.
Some people have also been saying that Rona Ambrose should try and run for actual leader, because I know she was temporary leader, but I think her French is really bad, and that's a thing, is you need to be fluently bilingual to be able to be prime minister. Scheer's French is kind of shit too, so sings. But that's the thing, is as unfortunate as it is, the Conservatives need a female leader, in part just to differentiate them from the rest of them. And
that's
really the reality of it.
what's her face? May is gone.
Elizabeth May resigned from the Green Party, so now there's no major federal party with a female leader.
That'd be so good. So good.
If Rempel was in there. But
that's what some people were debating with the last Conservative Leadership Convention, is that a lot of people just chose not to run. There's speculation that a lot of people chose not to run because they didn't think Trudeau would lose. They didn't think he was going to implode as badly as he did. They thought he was guaranteed another majority term. And the fact that he imploded so bad, it was something no one predicted. And
Still
it was
not
basically
bad
then
enough.
just like, that was the thing, is how much dirt can they dig up on someone else? And no one really decided to look into Scheer all so much. And really the thing I think that fucked Scheer over was his American citizenship.
There was a bunch of piddly shit. To be fair, I consider a lot of the Trudeau stuff piddly shit as well, except for the blackface. That's hilarious and embarrassing on an international scale.
But the thing with it is
that guy still has the balls to go out and talk to anyone as the leader of Canada is fucking embarrassing.
And shit talk them. But anyways, let's talk about guns.
Honestly,
let's talk about politics. Fuck this politics stuff.
Yeah.
Because long story short, Liberals are in for a year or two or something like that. If they put any bills out that are on this, they're going to get passed. They run the risk of not currying the favor of the NDP or Bloc enough and getting voted out, in which case we've got to do the whole thing again. Long story short, if you guys are out there and watching this, contact your MP, try to meet with them, talk about these gun policies, talk about how they're not going to help.
I should contact Rempel and tell her to run.
I'm pretty sure she's having a family, so I'm pretty sure she's not about that. She doesn't want to put more effort in, more time in.
Can you imagine if the Conservatives had a pregnant female leader? Oh my god.
Rempel would be really good. But I think that the thing, keep in mind where the popular vote of Canada goes. Conservatives got 34% of all the people who voted. You can't win just on the Conservative Party. You need to convince the other parties.
Skewed heavily in Alberta. Now,
hardcore in Alberta. But long story short, we need other parties, other people who vote for other parties. They're gun owners. There's 2 million of us. You got to get out there and convince these other parties to not do this anti-gun policy.
The other big thing with the Conservative Party is a lot of people who are left center who vote Liberal don't swing Conservative because they just keep being the Conservatives and gay marriage and abortion and this and that and whatever, and that keeps fucking the Conservatives over.
Scheer could have been far clearer about it, and it would have quashed it all. No. Just a flat out no.
No.
Kept trying.
My personal comments are not relevant. Bitch, please.
He kept trying to fucking pander to SoCon idiots who aren't going to vote for anyone but the Conservatives anyways. Yeah. And that's the reality of it. Where the fuck are the SoCons going to go? The Christian Heritage Party? It's a fucking joke.
Maybe they were scared of the PPC leeching the votes off them.
I don't know. The PPC. Anyways. Well, now the PPC is fucking irrelevant, but that keeps fucking them over. And realistically, when you look at how the Conservatives won previously, they won because of a strong NDP. The Conservatives fairly reliably run about between 5 to 6 million votes, and that's a very reliable voting base for them. But they win when the Liberal voting base moves somewhere else, and that's the thing. Is when they won their majority, the Liberals chose the most fucking terrible option for leader that was possible. And it was an American. They chose a guy who lived in America for 20-something fucking years teaching at Harvard and then just parachuted back in here. And he was such a terrible choice, he lost his own fucking writing. And what did he do? He went back to fucking Harvard, proving the conservative attack campaigns right. When they said he's just visiting, he'll go back to America if he doesn't do anything, or if he doesn't win, and he proved them fucking right. And that was what got Harper elected with a majority, is a bunch of liberal voters went NDP because they're just like, no, fuck this guy. We're not voting for this fucking idiot being out of the country for 25 years. He doesn't care about me. And that's what we needed with the NDP this time around, is we needed a strong NDP, and Jagmeet Singh did not deliver that because he's a fucking idiot.
I like how you're blaming the NDP for this.
It is the NDP's fault. It is the NDP's fault that the Liberals got elected because they chose a stupid fucking leader. That's the reality.
He's young.
Of
He'll
this.
get better. He'll get better with time. Don't worry.
He's not a fucking whine. He's a whiner.
No, politicians get better with age. You need time before you learn
How many more grays does he need in his beard? His beard's already turning fucking gray. He's plenty old
he'll
enough.
Get better. But
he's a fucking idiot racist.
Yeah. Anyway, so long story short, something might happen, might not, whatever. What are people's options? What can they do right now? Because part of this is like I noticed
more
on
licenses. Get people gun licenses. Get people shooting. Get people into the sport. Get them interested. Get them mobilized. Get them active. Get them on the streets. Create a movement.
I don't think that's going to happen right now.
I think that's what would help.
It would
So
help.
here's an
happen.
interesting idea that I've thought of is the Liberals, if they want to go and give you your money back for your firearms, take some of that money and buy people a gun license. If they're going to give you this fucking money and take your gun away, buy someone a gun license for every gun you get taken. For every gun of yours that they ban, buy someone a gun license. And if this were to become a viral fucking movement, I think they'd back right the fuck off of this. Because imagine basically a threat of 6 million gun licenses. The Liberals would shit their brains out with the idea of suddenly like a third of the country has a gun license.
I've considered subsidizing gun licenses. Like I'm thinking about going to the UFC and telling the gun club at the UFC, I will volunteer courses. All you have to pay is for the books, and if you feel like making a donation, literally,
I've been debating
doing that.
Like I've been debating like offering my friends a gun license for Christmas.
Oh, I've done that. I got 2 of my buddies gun licenses doing that.
But that's the thing is I've already decided that however many of my guns they ban, I'm going to just offer up gun licenses for as many of them as they ban.
You want to know something? I've been keeping an eye on all the stupid fucking suggestions that people keep throwing out there and protest and all that shit. Yours is the only one that makes any shred of sense.
Yeah.
Well,
and like I said, if this
couple, like that's one, buy gun licenses. Another person had mentioned anytime a firearm is reclassified, you have up to 30 days to appeal. That's another one. So clog out the courts with appeals.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about like the most practical, real life, applicable action that you can take.
And that's
like,
the most likely thing to make the Liberals hesitate is if there was
I can guarantee half of people are going to get their something taken away.
And that's the thing is that the Liberals were looking at this and they've been lying about the numbers. They already know that the numbers are going to be in the millions, most likely. And so if there was suddenly a big viral campaign of every gun that you have banned, buy someone a gun license for it, they'd be sitting there going, oh, fuck, are we about to go and have like 3 million people suddenly get a fucking gun license? We'd never be able to pass any more gun control after this. There'd be too many people who wouldn't fucking want it. And that is the only thing I could think of that might make them back down is basically the threat that the gun code, that banning guns in this country would actually lead to a larger gun culture. That would need to become
for anything.
That would need to become viral before it happens. But that's one thing, and I'm sure that when you go and mention this to some people, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's my money, and why should I have to give my money away to some other?" Well, fuck you then. You're not doing anything.
Well, and the other thing is like join a joining a rights advocacy group, because the rights advocacy groups aren't anywhere near 2 million members.
No.
Mm-mm.
And that's
And
that's 40
they
bucks.
rely
That's $40 a
entirely-
year.
And they rely entirely on grassroots funding, unlike the anti-gun lobby, which gets their money from nebulous fucking nowhere.
And
They get gobs and gobs of it.
and the
Like, you look at the fucking doctors group, they've been around for a year, and they're already running national radio campaigns.
Mhm.
That shit's expensive. Where the fuck did they get that money? They don't sell memberships. They don't have grassroots funding. Someone had to have given them the money to be able to do that. And of course, we're never going to find out who did that. But we know that they're not receiving grassroots funding to do this. Someone is giving them the money to push their bullshit. Whereas the gun rights lobby doesn't get this kind of nebulous fucking money given to
Not
them.
in
They rely
Canada. Not
entirely
in Canada.
on grassroots funding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anywho,
Think
the
we
other
covered it
option-
all?
Enough for
I think we
one
covered
night,
it.
I think. Yeah.
If there's anything else I'm going to add is, watch your fucking mouth in the sub, or you're gonna get banned.
On
You're
Reddit,
kind of cutting out.
That's your only warning. yeah.
you're saying on Reddit.
That's your only
watch
warning.
it. Don't talk about breaking the law, because you can't do that on Reddit.
Yeah. You keep fucking saying we're gonna go fucking shoot some cops and they come for our guns, you're gonna get banned. If you say that I'm going to go and bury all my guns in the backyard, I'm gonna dip them in cosmoline, that's illegal. You're gonna get banned.
Well, it's not
you're
illegal
gonna say
yet.
peaceful non-compliance.
It's not illegal yet. You can store your guns safely in PVC.
Peaceful non-compliance. I mean, this is something that we've been talking with the other moderators. At this point, the only thing that we're going to not crack down on is peaceful non-compliance and discussion. If you say you're gonna do it, you're out.
You say you're gonna store guns in PVC.
If you're literally saying I'm gonna go kill somebody, I am going to
Yes.
all that shit.
Yeah.
You're going to be violent. You're going to be aggressive. You're going to be
you
posturing,
have to ban-
grandstanding, all that shit. It's the amount of brigading that we've had in the last week. The amount of people that I've never fucking seen in the sub suddenly get a pile of fucking upvotes. That shit gets you on the wrong radar and is gonna get you banned, and then it's gonna get the
Meta
sub
Canada to me.
and on guard for thee. We know about you cocksuckers. So with that little send off, does anybody else have anything else to say?
Oh, do you think On Guard for these trying to make us look bad by planting a bunch of fucking idiots in there?
Oh, dude, I'll fucking tell you after the end here. Anyways, go watch Slamfire Radio. I like their shit.
It's all right.
Yeah.
There's this guy in a sleeping bag who shoots 3-gun online too. He's
Yeah,
weird.
I think his name is the Sleeping Gear guy
The
or something
sleeping
like
bag guy. Yeah.
that. Sleeping Bag. No, Sleeping Gear guy has a better ring to it.
Gear? Okay. Yeah.
Sleeping Gear guy.
Yeah.
Now, untapped market, baby, right there. Just fucking review quilts.
I haven't sent that.
is garbage.
I haven't sent that video to the sleeping bag company that sent it to me yet, but I'm gonna send it over and be like, hey, can you use us in your promotion? It's like it's very action oriented. The sleeping bag, it's very freeing.
It's so comfortable. I can operate in it.
It was very warm. It was very very warm shooting a 3-gun match in a wearable sleeping bag. All I needed to do is have a sweater on and some long johns, and I was
fuck
good.
Yeah, keep
I was
talking.
good
There's
in the
somebody
snow.
rubbing themselves to it. All right,
I love
I
it.
think that's it. Catch
Say
you
goodbye?
all later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe.
if we don't get banned.
If we don't get banned, we're
Like
probably
that.
gonna get banned.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna get banned.
We're gonna get banned.
Have a good night.